Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our Modern Masters set review. I'm Evan Irwin.
I'm Brad Nelson.
He is, and right now we're going to talk about the red cards in Modern Masters. We're going to start ourselves off with Blind Spot Giant.
Yeah, so this is the giant that you need other giants to help. He's not that good on his own. He just doesn't know really. Like, they say he's got a blind spot. I just say he's dumb.
I like how I can imagine the art description was like, can you make him look a little stupid?
Yeah.
Just enough dumb to really, you know, get across the dumb. And so there's like, he's got that little he got that the little tilt. I like the tilt. I mean, ultimately, you know, you look at a card like, I mean, Ember Beast is a card I think of right now because it's recent, where it's a 3-mana 3/4 that can't attack or block alone, and this one can't attack or block unless you have another giant. However, that's not that hard with changelings, and if you know all you need is any changeling ever in order for you to have a 3-mana 4/3, that's good.
Or love.
Yep, and there's changelings in
love.
red that we'll get to, and they're sweet.
Yep.
All right. Cool card, not super high pick. But
And we'll just break it down now because we know in white everyone was just like Thundercloud Shaman just isn't this set. Oh, we screwed up. We're sorry. It happens.
We'll get there. Yada Thundercloud Shamans later. Whatever.
We're just real lucky that like there's no evolve in this format.
Oh, let's not talk about evolve. Don't pick Blind Spot Giant early. You'll probably see it wheel anyway.
Yeah.
Blood Moon is here. Don't play it in limited, okay? Don't play it here. It's just for modern. It's for people to get copies of Blood Moon, even though they didn't give it new art or anything. It's still a fine card in modern.
It is, and it's still a skull on that planet, and I know it is. I've always thought it was a skull.
I always thought it was a skull, too.
Yeah.
Is it just supposed to be like random spots?
I think so, maybe. I don't know.
Well, you know, humans also see faces and things more easily than they see anything else.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, don't play this in modern. Don't play this in limited. Don't.
No, just don't. It's just it won't be good. Like
you're rare drafting.
You're like getting those vivid lands. Like yeah, you're not using those vivid lands.
Don't do that. Now, Giant Growth, aka Brute Force, is what you do want to do.
Now I've got this humble brag story for you guys about Brute Force. All right, so in Amsterdam, when I played better Magic than I'll ever play again. And it's depressing, but it's true.
Yeah, so it's the man who just won a tournament with like 500 people in it.
Sure, but in round 5 of that tournament, I'm playing against a red-black aggro goblin deck that like was new, right? No one played with it. And I had this card called Nameless Inversion in my deck and gave a creature +3, -3.
Yep.
And so my opponent just has the Warren Goblin. It's the Warren Instigator.
Sure.
And I was just like, during my turn, I just go, well, I'm better kill this. Play around those brute forces, and 2 turns later, my opponent's like, is forced to attack a Tattermunge Maniac into my Doran? And I block, and he's just like, brute force it, and then like burn it. And I was like, you have the brute force? And like he had it in hand. So if I just like killed it during my turn, because they had other things they could do, like they had like effects that could make it better. So it's killing in combat might have been better.
Sure.
But like if I did that, I would have taken 14, and he would have put 2 goblins into play.
Whoa!
Played around Brute Force, only 1 copy in that tournament.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah, there's a reason. I never even heard that deck was a thing.
Yeah.
And there's probably
well,
a
it
reason
wasn't because I beat them all.
You crushed them.
Yeah.
Made them feel bad about themselves. Giant Growth is sweet. Like, and this is Brute Force's Giant Growth +3/+3, and it's again.
Is Giant Growth sweet? Is it a card that could see some standard play? Maybe like with only one, you know, just
might have won a Grand Prix.
Just one person that like forces it into the format. Thing.
Could it be sitting at this table?
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. It's weird to see this not with a white text.
I know.
It's a little weird to see the non-planar chaos version. Ultimately, it's fine. I like the fact that like red has a Giant Growth personally, but that's me. I wouldn't be against this being like M14 or something, and then just switching out Giant Growth for Brute Force. But that's me. You'll play it. Don't pick it early. You know, it'll probably be your 5th to 8th, maybe more. It'll probably wheel.
It's a good well, I don't think it will. It's a good combat trick. Like
it's a good combat trick.
This card is the way for red decks to beat bombs. Like they don't have like these 3-mana deal 5 spells. Like they don't exist, you know?
Right.
So like this is a card that'll help you fight the bombs because you just have to like they play their big bomb and you're like whatever, send everything and just trade with a brute force or kill it with a brute force. So like this will go a little bit higher. I think it's like very good in the aggressive decks.
That's fair. It's really sweet. Countryside Crusher. I do not like this artwork.
No, I don't like the artwork, and I don't like this card in limited because it, like if you just play it on turn 3 and you don't have any other lands, you can't play any more lands. For the rest of the game, you don't get lands. That's just like.
And that's actually a thing. Like part of you like, oh, I'm just going to draw gas the rest of the game. Well, you're going to draw gas that might cost more than 3.
Yeah,
like then you're going to be like, I hope I got a basic land cycler out of this.
Please kill this. And they're like, no, I'm just going to keep playing big spells for a while.
It's fine. It's whatever. Like. I can't get past this artwork. I just can't. I'm sorry. I don't like it. I think it just looks weird. I don't like the stupid axe. I think the weird Hannibal Lecter
I just feel like he just got out of the Thunderdome.
Yeah, he just got out of a bad 80s movie. His posture's all weird looking. I mean, just as a picture, it freaks me out a little bit. Oh, Wizards, if there was one artwork redo you shouldn't have done, it was this one.
Yeah.
Be wary of this guy. I wouldn't pick this guy super high because he has the ability to screw you over.
Yeah.
And those are cards that are dangerous.
In limited before, like you would like not have another 3-drop, and you just like can't even play it. You're just like go like I gotta draw some lands before I play them.
Literally can't play it on turn 3 like directly because you could hurt yourself. That's awkward. Crush Underfoot. I love the flavor of this card is sweet.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful flavor. It's a great card to go with the giant theme. It's like Pit Fight except for giants, but you don't get it dealt back. So like
they just squished them. They just squished them.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And it's sweet art because like it took me a long time to know that like there was a face behind the foot. I never knew that.
Right. It's cool actually. I just saw the face. I was like,
yeah,
there's a face back there.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah, the face.
Know?
Yeah.
You're like, once you see the face, all you see is the face behind the toes now, and you're like, all right, it's fine. I see the face behind the toes. That's sweet. In your 5-toed grave.
Ooh.
That's some sweet flavor.
Yeah.
The 5-toed grave. Crusher Underfoot's a good one if you're in the giant deck, as it were. Desperate Ritual feels like a thing that was included because Modern's a format. I don't like it in any form or fashion in Limited.
Yeah, like there's a couple Storms cards, but they don't really do anything. Like maybe there's this Arcane Storm deck that you can maybe do something, but like I really feel like
maybe.
I don't think there's enough product to attempt. Like if this was a real set, sure, go for it. And like sometimes you just get out there and get the deck. But like you're just gonna incinerate too much product before you actually get the deck to do something.
They did make arcane things. They did make lots of arcane things.
Yeah.
And they did make storm spells that we'll get to that make this spell not be complete trash. That make it not be garbage or terrible. It's just that like
I mean, let's just say the warrens are full and we need to empty them.
We do.
We need to empty
them. And this is a card that can help you do that.
Yeah.
All right. This is not the card that you're going to be storming out.
I don't even know why they add this card. Like, what are they thinking?
Ridiculous.
Like, what are they thinking? They're literally like, we want to make Dragonstorm a thing again. Like, we want that Chapin Nassif matchup once again. We want that storyline. It's like, what are you doing? Like, we don't want to get Bogardan Hellkites anymore. Like, that is just not a thing Magic can do.
It's not even in the friggin' set. I mean, like, there's a bunch of, I guess, I mean, my God.
Well, no, this isn't
going to
a
storm this
limited
out for Changelings? You're going to storm this out for, like, the 1 or 2 dragons actually in it?
Well, this is not for Limited. This is for Modern.
It's for Modern, but it doesn't exist there. You know, that's our problem. And they can't make it exist. You don't want Dragonstorm to exist. Like, ugh.
I mean, it's not even good enough because it's like any good ritual, they just throw away out of the format. They get rid of it.
Right.
And they keep cutting our rituals.
Right.
So, like, why do they have Dragonstorm in the format? Like, why are they reprinting it? It makes no sense. I feel like that card got crushed underfoot, and like somebody accidentally was like, "What's this piece of paper?" and just like threw it on a piece of table.
I'm like, oh, we should print this.
Yeah.
This makes sense, right? Sure. No. Gross. Now this one, this Empty the Warrens looks amazing, by the way. This artwork is awesome. It's way better than the other version. I think this version is going to be way more expensive than the other version because of that. Get your foils, get your regular versions, because this one I will absolutely surpass the Time Spiral one.
Oh, for sure.
It's not close. It's a sweet one. It allows Desperate Ritual to be a thing. It allows you to try to help craft a turn to make this be awesome. Like, this can be legitimately awesome, even at worst if you're just making like 4 goblins for 4 mana. Like, you know, you play a 2-drop and you tap 4 and you play a 2 goblin or 4 goblins or whatever. Yeah. Like, you didn't like lose out, but there's ways you can make it.
Yeah, like
better.
there's actually a lot of good ways to make this card good, especially with we'll get to them. It's in a couple more cards. A good Storm builder, but I think there is enough Storm to be in this deck, And this is your prime card. Like, you need a lot of copies of Empty the Warrens. You're going to want as many as you can find, actually.
Yep. In the Storm deck, like I agree that there's a Storm deck. I agree that exists. So
and there's
my
a lot of
former
suspend
comment
too.
on Desperate Ritual, not probably quite as accurate, because they made a format in which it was supposed to be decent. It was supposed to be good. It's supposed to be spliceable. And you do a bunch of cool things like draw a card, splice Desperate Ritual, like, you know, we'll get to Grapeshot and then empty the Warrens or whatever. Like, you know, that's going to be a thing, and I think that's cool.
And they brought the Suspend with them, so you can use Suspend to help those turns out.
Right. All the Suspend cards work obviously terrifically with the Storm cards. You can time them, you know what I mean? So you suspend Ephemeron, and then you spend Cloudskate, and then, like, when they both come in, like, then all of a sudden you busting out your Grapeshot, and you're busting out your Warrens.
And then your opponent's just like, Echoing Truth, ha!
Lols. Well, something's got to kill him.
Yeah.
Something. But this is a card that you take because this is your deck.
Yeah.
You don't take it because, like, it's just value. You take it because it's your deck, or you don't want to play against this card, or
you like the art.
You think it's cool.
Or you listen to Evan and your guy was like, I do want these cards.
I do like cards that are collectible. It's cool. Fiery Fall, the third best.
It's second best. Come on, buddy. It's actually first best.
First?
It is first. It still deals with the...
It still kills creatures.
Yeah.
I like counterspells.
You do like counterspells. I like actually killing things and not having to hold
I love killing things.
Yeah.
Fiery Fall's so good. Fiery Fall, for me, is the third because, like, the other two, the blue one and the black one, you would always say, well, both modes are cool and both modes are usable. The blue one, I think, is the best of those two worlds. But here, like, I hate using this to go, like, find a land. I think that I failed when I used this to find, like, you know, my deck screwed up because I couldn't kill a creature with this.
I mean, that is true, but, like, you also, like, when you're playing the multicolor cards, like, these are not the cards you want in your Storm decks, in your Goblin decks, in your Aggressive Fairy decks.
Right.
These are the cards that you want in your 5-color, and we'll get to them. Like, we haven't gotten to green yet, and what's the 5-color deck? The green decks. And, like, that's what we're going to get to. And it's fine because, like, you should have an abundance of removal, and you have these multicolor cards, and you have all these things that you want to do with your mana. Yep. So, like, this is just a good, like, 18th, 19th card that can get you a land if you need it.
It can, but you're going to feel terrible about it. At least
You're not going to feel that bad.
I felt bad. I was just like,
you were addicted to value, my friend.
Yes! I'm so, just give it. Just right here in the Fiery Fall, man. Let's do it. It's a good card. It's a removal spell. I treat it as a removal spell that works both ways.
Yep.
In that way, it's very, very powerful. Fury Charm, the only charm in Modern Masters.
And it's not even like that good.
It's just to remove suspend counters. That's the only thing I can see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get the trample. Like, it's like
you're going to blow people out with a +1/+1 trample.
Sure, I mean you will, but yeah, I think this is just to help the combo decks to like get the suspend card in reserve. I don't think it's that good. Like, it's just a very confusing. Like when I see it,
it's such a weird card. To put in the set.
Just one charm.
Just one charm, but it deals with suspend counters, so okay. Like, I get, you know, like, I have a feeling that Wizards wants you to really craft the ultimate Storm turn. You know, suspend this, suspend that, suspend this. Like, remove suspend counters off of that so they all resolve at the same time. And then I do this, and then I do that, and then blah, 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 blah. And it's really sweet. That's all I got. And on the other half of it, like, the artifact destruction is okay, and we'll talk about artifacts later.
There's a lot of artifacts, so it is valuable.
There's plenty of there, but for me, it's sort of like it's the +1/+1 in trample, and it's the craft your perfect turn, or honestly, just like surprise Ephemeron.
Yeah.
That's a thing. You know what I mean?
You get their turn Ephemeron, yeah.
Yes. Like, you know, oh, you're attacking. Well, my Ephemeron comes into play and wrecks your face.
It was never worth it then, it's not going to be worth it now.
It sounds good.
It does sound good in theory, but...
Glacial Ray.
All right, so we can just skip this card, right?
No, what?
No, we
no. As a man who like was welcomed back into Magic by Kamigawa Limited, who top 8'd his first PTQ, which was Champions Limited, and who top 64'd the Grand Prix.
Heyo!
Thank you very much, which was Champions Limited.
Yeah.
I'm a man who loves Champions Limited, and I'm telling you, this card is unreal. You splice Glacial Ray on top of Glacial Ray, you splice in Dampened Thought, you splice in Hirobi's Whisper for like the ultimate value to like 2 damage to this and kill that. I mean, like, this card is absolutely super sweet, and it makes you want to find every arcane spell ever, because when you splice on Glacial Ray, you feel good every time.
And also Laser Eyes.
And freaking crazy, freaky bird ice laser things with shards of laser ice. That's what I call it.
I think we should just rename this card.
Shards of Laser Eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah! Either way, super high pick, not a bomb over your creatures, but like right after it. I mean, right there. It is as good as removal gets, and with it being Splice and Arcane, oh, if you have not lived till you've spliced the Glacial Ray on Glacial Ray. So
you
good.
have.
All right, you have, but you're still missing out. Grapeshot. Super
What is that art?
weird.
It's a Grapeshot?
I think he's like snapping his fingers.
And that's coming out of it?
And then like it's popping. Are they popping and locking? Is this a youth thing I don't get?
Is this a youth?
Have
we become too old?
We have become too. This is a YOLO swaggins. To my knowledge, is there like a YOLO in that ball right there somewhere?
Do you know, I actually realized when you get old, I figured it out.
Oh, really?
I figured out when you become old, and I become old now.
Well, when you turn 26 and MTV doesn't care about you anymore. Go on.
And what does?
When you're out of MTV's demographic.
Okay, sure. But
go on.
The way that I figured out is when you see like the McDonald's toy, and you just like don't know what it is, and immediately hate it because you don't know what it is. You're like, this is a horrible thing. What is this? That is the moment that I realized I was old.
All right,
I was like on a magic trip and I saw it and I was just like, oh my God.
I'm glad we spent time on that. Grapeshot as a card. It's a weird looking card. I want to like the art. I just think it's kind of, the more you look at it, the weirder it gets. As a spell, it's actually a pretty fine spell. Like you're actually going to, even if you're not playing the Storm deck, you're going to be able to get value out of playing Grapeshot because you play X and then you play X, then you Grapeshot and then like bump, 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 you hit guys. Or you play a spell, you play another spell, attack, they block over, they block, Grapeshot, da, da, da. Like you're able to get a lot of value out of this card. That's not just a Storm deck, but it's really good in the Storm deck.
You want it in the Storm deck.
You want to be able to chain Grapeshot into Grapeshot. Like playing 2 Grapeshots in a turn, depending on how your suspend stuff's working out, should either kill them or wipe their board. And that's a cool thing. Greater Gargadon. I was speaking about Dark Confidant.
Yeah.
Playing with Greater Gargadon.
You can do it again.
I can do it. I'm not. I'm not doing it again. I don't have Rakdos Guildmage. I don't have, Kindred of the Spires. I don't have all the sweet burn spells.
Is this going to be good and limited? Because, it's fine.
Yes.
It's just very good.
It's just... It's because it's attrition.
Yeah.
Like all you do, like turn 1, you want it turn 1, absolutely. You want turn 1 like Gargadon, and then you just, there's just attrition for the rest of the match.
We had damage on the stack last time.
You did. However, it doesn't matter because Greater Gargadon, still in my cube, still a fantastic creature. Like at some point, once it gets down to like 5 counters, then your opponent has to go, okay, can I take 9 damage to the face? Because you're just going to be able to sack your lands and just put it in a 9/7 and get them. Like that's really sweet. This is a card that just gets you
just the all-in.
That gives you the all-in. It gives you the incremental advantage. It gives you the sack outlet for attrition. Like this is a really sweet one. Yep, really, really sweet. It was way better with damage on the stack.
Yeah,
but it's super good still. Not a super bomb rare, but really good.
I mean, it's kind of cool that you can sack one of your mythic dragons to it. Like that does sound pretty sweet. Like
you certainly can.
You could Yosei them and then put it into play and just. That sounds awesome.
Well, you could, but like, why wouldn't you attack with Yosei?
Well, no, it's to lethal them.
Oh, to lethal them.
You tap their entire team and lock them and 9 them and 9 them or something.
Absolutely. Greater Gargadon lets you do that, and it is awesome, and I love it.
Yep.
There's fewer things as cool as Gargadon on turn 1. Grinning Ingus.
Now this is
Grinning Ignus.
Grinning Ignus.
Get it right. God.
All right, so this is your Storm card.
Yes.
So it pretty much lets you just, for 1 mana, build Storm. So every extra land that you have, also the cool thing is it can start Storm. So you can put it in play, and even if you're not going to use it for the turn, it adds mana that turn. So you can just for red, you just create free 2 colorless with this card.
Yep.
So it does 2 different things. It can help accelerate you into a combo or a big creature on turn 4, or for 1 mana, it builds your Storm 1 per mana. So it does a lot of cool things.
Yeah, you got 5 lands. Well, then all of a sudden, Ignus, bring it back, Ignus, bring it back, Ignus, bring it back, and then Grapeshot you for, for 4 or 5 or whatever at that point. But the idea that this is sort of your Storm builder, I love that this card exists in the format. This is a really cool card. It's
a good find for them. They know that they've worked hard on making sure that the Storm deck is good because this was a big one in Time Spiral Block.
Absolutely, and this is a card that man, this is the card that makes me want to play this in limited. You know,
Man, why didn't they just give us Coal Stoker too? Coal Stoker was awesome. Do you remember? Do you remember?
I know, 4 mana, 3/3, adds 3 red.
And you even got mana burn sometimes. You didn't even care. It was
you got
awesome.
mana burn back in the day, and you're just like, I need this 3/3. I'll take 3. Go like.
Mana burn was like the dumbest ability ever, but you still sweet. It was really dumb.
If you've never lived in a world with mana burn, then count yourself lucky because
it was like
dumb.
It was the worst flavor. It's like if you tapped a line and said go, you just took a burn. Like you just lost a life.
You lost a life.
They decided that 1 mana burn was equal to 1 life, and like you think if like all right, you're a planeswalker, right, and you're absorbing like mana from the land, and you're like I don't know what to do with all this. You just blow up
and you burn. Like that was finally someone, and I just like so many of the rule changes of the past 5 to 7 years have just been like bonk. Like why are they doing this? Why are you having mana burn? Like why is damage on the stack? No one understands that. Everyone gets embarrassed when you explain it, and all I'm saying is that I like Green and Ignus. I like what it does to the format. It makes me want to play the format, and I think that's why these cards exist. Super cool in the right deck. Hammerheim Deadeye. I loved this guy back in the day.
Oh, he was great, yeah.
He was so good. Man, he solved all sorts of problems. Normally you did wait until you had 6 mana. Like you don't want to just lose value with him, but sometimes you have to run him out to kill something stupid. Most of the time you're going to be able to wait another turn or 2 to get all the value. But like that's a lot of value. Like
I mean, I found it just fine, like just running out there if there was a flyer I wanted to deal with, because you can think of it as just, it is just a removal spell at that point that also gets to block for the turn. You want the value, but like I'm okay with it, especially if there's things I want to do with my mana later on.
Well, if it's about getting through or it's about alpha, obviously, then it's going to be worth it. But, you know, the times I saw it was a lot of times you wanted to wait just because there was no real reason to run it. You know, like you want a 3/3 to be left behind, and you want that thing dead. So
because value.
Yes.
And it's a sweet giant.
It is a super sweet giant. Kiki-Jiki. What?
He's the mirror breaker.
He is. He's sweet.
Except who wins the mirror now, though?
Man, I look. You're funny. Well, because now that you can both have a Kiki-Jiki, which is funny. My favorite Kiki-Jiki story for me is that I got my foil Kiki-Jiki for free because I think it was either Champions or Betrayers pre-release. I think it was the Betrayers one. And my buddy had opened a foil Kiki-Jiki in his sealed pool, and he was just like, I don't like this. I'm just going to sell this to the dealers for $1 or whatever it was at the time. And I was just like, no. I'm like, here, give it to me. I got a cube. I got to put it in there. And that's the foil Kiki-Jiki I have this day, which I think at its peak reached like $50 or whatever.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's like insane. So my free foil Kiki-Jiki story, Kiki-Jiki, super awesome mythic. I mean, if you're not red, you can't really windmill slam it on pack 3. You might be able to move into it on pack 2. Yeah. Pick one, pack one though. This is your man. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It turned into a mythic for a reason. The card is absurd. And especially in a limited environment when you just get to make a copy. And who cares if it's sacrificed? Sometimes you have die effects. You have Evoke. You get Kiki-Jiki and Evoke creatures. It's insane. There's so many coming to players. Hammerheim Deadeye. We were just seeing Hammerheim Deadeye.
If you just get to Muldrifter with this, that's just...
It's just cool. It's
too much value.
Rebel Arc. I mean, like, even Meadow Boon, for God's sake. Like,
and plus, you can also just infinite combo with Pestermite. It's in the same format.
They literally put it in the format for you. You're welcome.
What if that's like actually the finals of the Modern Masters Pro or Grand Prix? It's just
so.
2 games of Pestermite Kiki-Jiki, you're dead. And
done. Okay, sure.
Yep, dead. Can't win.
It's a cube. It is a cube.
Yeah.
It is awesome when you see all the pieces moving together. Kiki-Jiki, if you're in red, it's a windmill. If you're pick one, pack one, it's a windmill. If you're in other colors and you open it in pack 3, like, you missed out.
You just got to pass it or take it.
Yep. Pass it or hate it.
Yeah.
Now, Lava Spike, that's a card.
It can help with arcane decks and combo decks, but it's still just like, it's one of those cards, and it's a win more in my opinion. And what a win more is, it means 2 different things. You don't think it's a win more?
Not with all the spliced arcane.
Well, I think you can splice an arcane, but that's just it. There's other arcane cards. But like when it's bad, it's really bad. And when it's good, it probably wasn't needed. Like I feel...
I mean, like when if you're playing the Splice deck, you
know
what I
feel
mean?
like your deck could be too gimmicky if you're running cards like Lava Spike.
It can be too gimmicky, but like there's also value of the Glacial Ray. Like Glacial Ray is so good of a Splice card. You really have to play with it to know how good.
I mean,
it is.
I
It
agree.
is stupidly good.
It pretty much just means that like think of it instead of Lava Spike and Glacial, like you're putting Glacial Ray on top of Lava Spike. Think of putting Lava Spike on top of Glacial Ray. You get to kill a 2/2
Right.
plus deal 3 to them. You got to kill a 2/2 plus draw a card.
Yeah, and you get to draw another Glacial Ray, as it were. Like once you have like 2 Glacial Rays, like you just start picking Lava Spikes higher because you need things that say Arcane on it, so you can just splice all day long.
Yep.
Dampen Thought, same exact thing. So while this card, yes, is super narrow, is really kind of only for one deck. It's really good in the deck it's made for.
That's true.
It's a sweet one. Plus, in Modern, this card's like $3 or something stupid.
Really? Mm-hmm. What happened to Magic? That's just absurd.
Lava Spikes, buddy. Now, Mogg War Marshal. I love Mogg War Marshal.
I'm a big Mogg War Marshal fan, too. I always love this card. Like, it does a lot of things.
Good.
Like, it was a card that had Echo that you sometimes just didn't care if you, like, bend it. It's like, I really want to play my 3-drop. And you didn't really feel, like, forced into paying its Echo cost.
Yeah, you really don't. Like, okay, I pay 2 mana for 2 goblins. We're cool.
Yeah.
I pay 2 mana for 2 goblins, and then 1 more when it dies. I feel even better. Yeah. And I've tied up my mana. It's not the end of the world. 2 mana, I Otherworldly Journey, and then I get another goblin, and I can pay for the Echo if I want to. And
you get 2 more goblins when that happens.
Oh, no, it's dies.
Or
it dies, yes. So, but again, like, there's a lot of tricks for this card, and ultimately, just people don't like to attack into it. Like, if you have a bear, you don't want to attack into Mogg War Marshal.
No, because they trade and you get a goblin.
Yeah, and you're just like, well, I feel dumb. Like, not only did they trade my 2/2 for their 2 mana guy.
I like to think of it more optimistic, like my 2/2 is holding deck their 2 1/1s.
Well, that's also why you don't attack your 2/2 into Mogg War Marshal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, if you're red, this is pretty much a card you want.
Yeah, it's just a very good 2-drop. It's just think of it as a grizzly bear, and sometimes it gives you 3 1/1s. So
and sometimes it's just holding down the fort. Like if you're playing the Storm deck or whatever, like this is the card you want because it just makes you not die. Like you just don't want to die, so you can build your cool Storm / suspend turn. So I play Mogg War Marshal, so I don't do that.
Very good.
Just weaving. Molten Disaster.
Nope, just dead. Nope, you're just dead.
Oh, all dead.
Like this is like one of my favorite split-second cards because it is. You're just dead.
This is one of those cards that, like, back when the Magic show started, and I started reviewing spoilers. This is one of those where I'll go back and I'll cringe a little bit because I want to say I use the word broken here, which makes me sad. Whereas it is absolutely not broken. It's a fine card. It's a good card. It's way too much mana to be broken in any sense. Yep. The only way this could be broken is if it were 1 red X and it already had split second. You know what I mean? It doesn't need an extra kicker to make it. It's just, that's the only way it would be broken, as in like too unfair, too print, yada, yada, yada. But like as it is, it's a good card. It's a card that lets me look back on my time back then and be like, how much I have learned and how different a player I am and all that good stuff. And to me, this is like a pure nostalgia card.
Yep.
It just brings back all the good memories. Now, as a limited card, it's really good.
It's bonkers.
It's stupid
you
good.
You get yourself into positions where you just can Alpha Strike them to get them to a lower life total use so you can just blow them up. And it's really tough because they don't get an option to play around it. Like, if you cast it with split second, the game is over.
Right.
It's just that's just
and
what
if you
happens.
don't, like, it's still only each creature without flying. So like if you're playing like a red-blue fairy thing and you Molten Disaster for whatever and you Alpha Strike them to death, like that's legitimate. You know? Like that's possible. This is rare for a reason. It's really good and limited. Like it's a really good sweeper. There's few bad things to say about it. If it's not a bomb.
Except it's sometimes very expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It's a fireball. Sure. Pardic Dragon. You would be absolutely shocked by how terrible this card is.
Yeah.
You would be absolutely astounded. You're like, there's a 4/4
for 2?
For
Oh
2
my
red?
god.
What? You're like, no, this card never resolves ever. You have to play frigging Fury Charm to make this thing resolve. I swear to God. You're just like, this card's gonna be so sweet. All right, I'll add a counter. All right, I'll remove a counter. All right, sweet, go. All right, I'll add 2 counters. And then I remove a counter, sweet. That's what you do all game. It's just like, you just can't believe how pissed off you are that this dragon never resolved.
It wasn't rare, and people first thought it was awesome.
Yeah, they were like slamming it. They were throwing it. I mean, it was astounding how bad.
I mean, this is just a bad Shivan dragon. You would still take it.
Yeah,
but you would never suspend it.
For God's sake, don't suspend it. It's a 6 mana 4/4 flying dragon with fire breathing.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
It's another one of those trick cards. You're just the Wizards just getting you. It's like, yeah, they're gonna suspend it.
You're gonna learn a powerful lesson when you
Like, do you
suspend
like
this
how
card.
back in the day they trolled us, but now they're like, we need them to attack. We're just gonna make them attack with it.
Yes.
But before they're like, we're just gonna screw with them this whole set.
Balls. See what you can do that suspend too, brah. Oh man, I'm telling you, you would be astounded. It blew my mind. I was like, why is this card bad? Pyromancer Swath. There's a Storm deck. It exists. It has Tunnel Ignus. This is a card that you play right before you cast your Grapeshot for 1,000,000. You know, like, it's rare. You have to get past it. You're going to get past it because you're the only guy who plays Storm at the table. You know, like, Storm is one of those types of strategies that you have to be, like, the only guy in it.
Yeah.
But when you're the only guy in it, it's awesome.
Yeah, and if you get past this card, because it's not even going to be worth that much money, like, those Grapeshots are lethal. Just lethal. You have to get, like, you find any way to get to 5 mana. Like, just think about if you go Desperate Ritual, Pyromancer, Swath into Grapeshot, that's 9 damage on its own.
That's not you timing things.
Because they add 2 to each copy of Grapeshot.
Yes. Every time Grapeshot happens. I mean, it's a real thing, and it's cool, and it's just like the Damn and Thought thing I was talking about. Like, when you're the only guy, you're going to see this card because nobody else wants it.
Yeah, and so you should have enough time, especially with all the bombs. The format doesn't seem hyper aggressive. It's like, it's not as aggressive as most of these current limited formats.
Right.
And so because of that, like, you are going to be able to figure out how to make this work. So, like, this is just a must have. Like, if you see this in the deck, you take it and you find every Grapeshot you can.
Right. Like, if you're in Storm and you open this in pack 3, just take it. Like, don't let them troll. Like, don't let them take it from you. You know what I mean?
Don't forget to read this last the last sentence. Don't forget.
You're going to lose your hand. Like, you got to go all in.
Yep.
You're going all in, and that's a thing, and that's fine.
And that's the art, too. It's just like, that's the finale. Man.
Yeah, whee! But, you know, it's one of those things where if you see it in pack 3 early or whatever, your Storm deck, just take it, because I will take it to not let you have this card.
Yeah, it's very good.
I will just not let you do these things. Rift Bolt, that's a cool card.
Oh, this is also a very good Storm card. This is like helps start the combo. Also, it can like really like destroy like some early creatures when you're setting it up. But it's the big finale turn. It's like, I'm suspending. Like, if your like opponent is playing Storm and they go Drago, suspend Rift Bolt, you better do something right now. Like, this is your turn. This is your chance. Like, you better find
prepare yourself.
You find that Aethersworn Canonist right now.
Quickly.
Yeah.
You find your Angel's Grace because it's going to get real ugly up in here. Rift Bolt, even if you're not playing the Storm deck, which is why I like it, it's just good.
Yeah.
Like, it's an excellent spell. It was a tier 1 burn spell in Standard when it was in Standard. Like, it's going to kill a ton of stuff in the format, obviously. And, you know, you don't have to set up uber turns to just enjoy a burn spell.
Nope.
Like, it's still good. Still very good. Rift Elemental, like, here's where it gets, like, silly. Like, here's where you really begin
That's
to,
where
like,
you get your
setup.
That's your Dragon card.
Yeah, your Party Dragon plus your Rift Elemental. Man, these decks sound sweet.
They actually kind of do. They really do, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, like, because this format's all about, like, forming together all the cool, sweet things. And Rift Elemental plus all your suspend spells, you know, plus your Tysis, like, you know, plus your Greater Gargadon. Like, this card works with all those spells for a reason. So it's pretty cool that you can have a big suspend spell that can make this guy huge.
Wait,
it's his fire breathing.
He can remove from suspend, right? Those are considered permanents?
That is correct.
Okay, I can't remember. It's just worded weird.
Well, a permanent you own, you control, or suspended card you
own.
It
says or suspended card.
Or suspended card.
Oh, it's in English. Okay, I'm sorry.
So yeah, it's fun. I like the I kind of like the fact that it exists. It's one of those that you're just not going to have to pick this early.
Is it the same art from before?
I don't know.
It looks cool though.
It looks neat. I can expect this like really late, like 12th pick.
No, like this is last pick. Yeah.
Yeah, like every time. It's one of those you're not going to fight for. Like literally, never pick this early. You're going to always see it late because no one wants this thing except the one deck that cares about suspend and storm and whatever. Yeah. Now, where you say
the red dragon,
roar, he's a monster.
He is big and scary, and like 5 damage to each creature on the ground is huge. So he just like. When he dies, he takes everything with him. That's his job.
Yep, everybody on the battlefield getting Bernie. You know what I'm saying?
You kill it, you know, it's just going to go fine. All your stuff's dead.
All the things without flying are now gone.
Yep.
Like, it's
good flavor, too, because it's like the Dragon of Fire dies, so it just rains on everything else. Like, I like it a lot.
It's super cool flavor.
Yep.
It's a super cool dragon. Again, it's just like Kega. It's 1 red mana and 5 colorless. and Kegel was 1 blue and 5 colors. Like, it's super splashable. And, I mean, it's just a
a
window
bomb.
slam. Like, you're going to love it. It's going to do amazing things.
You see it in first, second, or third, you just take it. I don't think there's
All
a
the
deck you don't
dragons.
splash for.
Barely the green dragon turn into their own mini games.
Yep.
And this in particular turns into its real own mini game. Like, you they play it. The first thing you do is look at everything without flying, and you're like, doesn't have 5 toughness, doesn't have 5 toughness, doesn't have have 5 or more toughness or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to die by right, you say.
Yeah.
It's a sweet windmill slam. Enjoy. Shrapnel Blast, super awesome art.
Awesome art.
I love the artwork on
Yeah,
this.
it's very good. This is like one of my big cards from back in the day. I
yeah.
was a big post Skull Clamp, like I said, Affinity player, and this was one of the cards in the deck. And like ever since then, I've always just had this emotional thing with Shrapnel Blast because it got me to that second place in the tournament. Also, I played Affinity all the time, and so like I cast more Shrapnel Blast than probably any other card outside of it, like an Affinity deck. Like I played more games of Affinity than any other deck.
The story that always follows me with Shrapnel Blast was I was there in Rome next to Conley Woods where he learned and he created the crack, fetch, I'll take 2, I'm Conley Woods.
I was there.
Where his opponent, who was playing Mono Red Burn, mold to 4. Conley was playing Zoo. Conley dealt 9 damage to himself with crack, fetch, take 2, play a Kurt Ape, go. Crack, fetch, take 2, play a Tarmogoyf, go. Crack, fetch, take 2. Wait, what's that on top of your library? A Shrapnel Blast? That's how he died.
He also, I was there when, I was in the group of people when he just lost to this game, and he came over and he's like, you won't believe what just happened. Like, the story wasn't even just like, do you think you make these lines, right? It's not like, do you make these lines? No, it was, so this is how the game played out. And then at the end of it, and like the guy had the Shrapnel Blast, and like all of us are just like, why did you take 9 damage? He only dealt you 11. Where did the other 9 damage come from? And then he's like, well, I played my spells and I was a Zoo deck. And it's just like,
yeah,
he's on 4 cards.
The guy's like land Mogg Fanatic, and then he's like land burn, and then he's like land burn, and then he hits you with a Mogg Fanatic, and then like he's got 1 draw spell left, and he's got a mountain and a Great Furnace, and the guy just goes Shrapnel Blast.
When you're the Zoo player, you like never shock yourself in that matchup either. Sometimes you have to.
Yes, you should never.
Like,
there was no need for him to do that.
4, you could just like, especially when every 3 damage is a lightning bolt. Like you're giving your opponent like all his cards do is shock you.
Yes, it was unreal. So Shrapnel Blast will forever live in my memory right there when I saw crack, fetch, take 2, I'm Conley Woods.
Oh man.
In the limited format, just so we can officially address it, if you are playing a lot of artifacts, it's really, really good.
It's sometimes good. It depends on what artifacts that you hit. Like it's
depends
pretty
on
good. Yeah.
You got to be playing a lot of them, but like, and you kind of got to be in the right colors, yada yada.
Yeah. The problem with Shrapnel Blast is I don't know if there is a red artifact deck because I think they're all just like Esper. So like maybe it's possible. Like there's Pyrite Spellbomb, but like there isn't. Like Esper really has a stranglehold on like the awesome artifacts.
Yeah, I think what we're going to find when we go to multicolored artifacts is that we're going to find we're like, okay, well this makes Shrapnel Blast really good. This makes Shrapnel Blast really good. Right now, I don't think we see it yet, but at the same time,
we'll find it. Yeah,
it's a super powerful spell for 2 mana. It's nuts. There's Squee.
Just never gotten into this card. I know people like it. I've just never been into it.
I mean, I have a cube. I have Recurring Nightmare. I have Survival of the Fittest. I have Genesis. I have Squee. I've gotten Squee. Working with with the loops that you can do for Survival of the Fittest, and it's good. It's fine. It's not even that crazy overpowering, to be honest.
No, even when
fine.
it's fully functional, it's not that good.
Right, even fully powered, like Squee, just okay. I mean,
I
basically, at worst, you have a wall.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fan favorite, isn't he? Like people just really like the
people love Squee, Squee's toy, and all that type of stuff, and I think it's super cool. I would actually like to see more of Squee. I mean, I like to see a legendary goblin who's like, lauded and was on the Weatherlight and all that type of stuff. Like, there's a lot of cool old, story stuff that I think they have a lot to mine from. But in terms of like what it does in limited, like it's just it's just a 3-mana 1/1. Like you're gonna be able to put stuff like Bone Splitter on it, sure, but like, like it's just a 3-mana 1/1 wall. He chumps, he comes back. You play him again if you need to. Okay.
It's fine.
Man. Not a super high pick. However, a higher pick.
Not as good as Sting Scourger.
I'd slam Sting Scourger long before I'd slam Squee.
Yeah, Sting Scourger was an awesome tempo boost. It's like, in the early game, you could use them and just bin them just to get some extra damage through, and it would just be a bounce spell for 2 mana, and it was fine. But it did give you a lot of tempo boost when you would just play it on turn 4, and then pay the Echo and attack with it. Like, because it gives a tempo boost, you can take that tempo loss.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea of having this 2/2 that immediately bounces whatever, like, you really don't run it out on turn 2. Like,
No.
you really shouldn't. Like,
No.
what are you bouncing on that they did on turn 1 that's so powerful you have to give up your 2/2?
I can't let that Court Homunculus turn on!
Like, that's not how you play this card. You sort of play this card strategically, which is cool for me because I like strategic Goblin cards, because most of the time they're so mindless, it's ridiculous. You know, so Steam Scourger really gave you the sense that Goblins can do what Goblins have never been able to do before, because they've never been able to do this before this card. And it lets you play differently, and that's what I like the most about it. It's sweet.
Yeah, very good card.
Very, very good. Stinkdrinker Daredevil. Woo, woo! He's got himself a tooth. He's running like a fool.
Yeah, I've always loved this Goblin that just helps cheapen the Giants.
I'm not exactly sure what it has to do with the picture at all, but I don't really care.
Well, he's making them faster. That's just what he's doing. He's making
bringing them to the battlefield faster by taking their teeth.
Yeah, so then they get there quicker because they're slow.
Man.
Because they're mad. I want to know how he originally got that. Like, we have this story, like, this is like the beginning of the episode where it's like running away with that, and then it goes like 36 hours earlier.
Right. We see like that goblin like at home, like smoking a goblin pipe, hanging out, you know. There's this goblin tooth that's like mythical.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've built the whole story for this, by the way. That's great.
You guys can hear about that here. Okay, kidding.
No, there's no. Giant spells you cast cost 2 less is a thing. There's a lot of giants. We're actually going to get to them, including a lot of really good ones. But it was okay.
I mean, I actually really like cards like this because, like, it turned your deck into hyperdrive. Like, you definitely, like, especially because, like,
if you're the giant deck, this is the guy you want multiples of.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it just helps get them into play, and it's important to get them in there.
Right. Yeah, and you know, for what it's worth, he does turn on the prowl stuff, which is nice. It's cool. These are rogue, too, which is neat. But ultimately, if you're drafting the giant deck, which it does exist, and we're about to see a lot of it, you know, this is the card you want to kick off with. And Sudden Shock is awesome. This used to be all about killing the Psychotogs.
Oh, no, this used to just all be about trolling.
Well, yeah. What are you at? Oh, you're at 2. Okay. All right, you want to attack me? All right, all right, you're dead.
Like, yeah, like just the bad stories. Like, I heard about one story. I don't remember who did it, but like they actually went to the bathroom, came back, and then cast Sudden Shock. Because like it's split second, you can't do anything about it.
Don't be that person.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy.
That's bad.
Don't let Sudden Shock trolling happen to you, and don't be the person who trolls with the Sudden Shock.
I mean, I'm probably going to troll a Sudden Shock. It's been a long time. I really like doing it.
I got to go to the bathroom. Unbelievable. It's a good removal spell. Take it as such. Not over bombs, but over everything else. It's a really, really good one. Tar Pitcher. Love this art, first of all. Just going to run that out there. I've always loved this art. It is a super, super sweet card.
See, I've always thought about Tar Pitcher was playing catch with Brian Stoutarm, and he's like tossing him a ball, and then Brian's just like, whoa.
Yeah, like Tar Pitcher, like there used to be Tar Fire. I don't, like Tar Fire's not in here, or we would just literally hit it before we hit Tar Pitcher. But, you know, it was supposed to sort of be the creature version, you know. Tar Fire was the shock, the goblin shock.
That Tar Pitcher was throwing.
That Tar Pitcher was throwing, that's exactly right. So, you know, in that way it's good, but it also gives reach to the goblin decks, you know, when all you have is like face vaulters and crap. You're like, all right, fine, whatever, I'll tap.
And you can sack cards like Festering Goblin, which is really impressive.
You can fetch Festering Goblin, you can sack Changelings, of course, which are nice. Like, there's a lot of play to this card, and it's a lot better than, I mean, most of the Goblin cards, essentially. Yeah,
no, this is going to be a big one in the Goblin decks.
Yep, you'll want to pick it pretty early.
Yep.
Thundercloud Shaman, the card we may or may not have said didn't exist in the set earlier.
Well, because it does, it's awesome. And this card is just extremely powerful. Like, just being able to kill everything else on the board, especially all your opponent's creatures, and just have this army of giants.
This is the card that you build up to. Like, you don't run it out as soon as you can. Like, if you're in the giant deck, like, you play a giant, okay, you play Thundercloud, wipe their board, get them.
I don't know if this is still true, but this was a first pick.
Yes.
In Lorwyn.
Lorwyn?
Or Morningtide.
Morningtide at the time.
Yeah, this was a first pick, and I still think it is.
It was dumb good. Like, it was like, I mean, what's your opponent going to do? Like, it's all non-giant creatures. It's anything. It's flyers, it's non-flyers. Doesn't matter
all
if
that survived on their board were their changelings.
Yeah. because they were giants, and that's all they got. Otherwise, everything dies.
Yeah.
Like this card, from everything I've seen in the set, I agree with you. I think as a first pick, if you're wanting to go the giant route, like it's really sweet.
Yep, it's very good.
Super sweet. Thundering Giant. Man, I had
Not
to look
as
this
good as Thundercloud Giant, but...
No, I had to look this thing up. This thing comes from like Urza's Saga, and then they reprinted it in like a beatdown, and then they reprinted it in 10th edition, and I'm like, man, Wizards, you are going deep.
Yeah, well, I don't even
You went
get
so
it.
deep.
They're just like, we need more giants.
Yeah, they're like, I need one more giant in here. And these cost like 5 mana, and like, yeah, sure, what, 4th race, whatever. Okay, sweet.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fine, whatever.
This it just reminds me just like the terrible Magic cards we used to play with back in the day. Because it's just so bad. It's just all of it's so terrible. 3
I mean,
toughness.
you play it if you really need another giant. Like,
Right.
being, like, if you have a ton of the 1/3s, like, it's not that bad because you can follow it up. It's just the next turn, it's just a 4/3 for 3 mana.
Right, which is
Not
good.
bad, yeah.
Yeah, so you're able, like, when you're living the dream and all that stuff, obviously it's really sweet. But when you're paying full retail for this thing, you're
Yeah.
like, you just feel bad about yourself.
Yep.
It's not a card you pick early. You're going to see it super late. It's
Not-
probably going to, I think you're going to see it late.
It's like last pick.
Yeah, like you're going to see this just passed out because it's
mean, the
so
set has, like,
bad.
Sort of Fire and Ice, and there's Thundering Giant.
I mean, but again, the guy who plays the giant deck is really going to appreciate it. Now,
Yeah.
Torrent of Stone, that's another one. It's from Betrayers. It's absolutely
Yeah.
awesome. I remember playing with this card back in the day. It is sweet. It is super, super sweet. Being able to Torrent of Stone and to splice on Hirobi's Whisper, like, is wow. It is a sweet, excellent feeling that you will not forget. It is a good one. Being able to splice onto Arcane, sacking 2 mountains,
Unless you're going to kill him.
unless you're going to kill them, don't do it. Because, like, every time I did that,
It felt bad.
it felt bad. I rarely recovered, you know. It always sounds like not that terrible. I mean, like, I play with Fire Blast in the cube, and, like, sometimes I'll sack 2 mountains to get rid of a thing, and then those 2 mountains will have just been, like, the most crucial thing ever.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you'll find here. Like, you're like, man, I want to play all these giants, but I sacked my 2 mountains, so now I look like an idiot.
But definitely, like, if you're, like, going to win the game, I could see, like, especially since it's a common, like, you can Torrent on top of Torrent and sack your 2 mountains, kill their 2 guys, attack them.
Right. I mean, like, there's going to be points where you play a arcane spell, splice onto it, play another arcane spell, splice onto it, get rid of all your mountains, but you got rid of their big blockers, and then you just alpha them. Like, that's the thing, and it's fine. Ultimately, it's still a really good removal spell. You should treat it like a good removal spell, and don't go crazy with a splice on arcane this thing. You'll feel bad about it. Tribal Flames is super sweet.
I love the new art.
Oh my god, the art is awesome.
Yeah, this is just big. Like, Tribal Flames is such a big modern card. Now we have an awesome card, like,
An awesome version of it.
and like, it can become foil, which is just sweet. Like, the foils probably are just unbelievable.
Foils are going to be infinitely expensive.
Yeah.
If you like Tribal Flames as a deck, as an archetype, as a thing, and you're casual, whatever, if you like this, get the foils immediately because they're going to be super expensive. Tribal Flames as a card is super sweet. At the end of the day, if all you deal is, I don't know, 3 damage or whatever, like for
You
2
did
mana,
something wrong.
well, you probably did something wrong. But at the end of the day, like,
It's still fine.
it's still a sorcery lightning bolt, still a sorcery incinerate, however you want to think about it, and that's still good.
Yeah, it's still
Kills creatures, kills players. Should be treated like
it's
any other
playable
removal.
at 2 different colors too. It's playable in
It's
2
playable
colors.
at shock. Yeah, I mean
Yep.
it really is, and it just gets better. So excellent removal spell. Warspite Changeling, our last red card, works in all the goblins decks, works in all the giant decks. Like, it's really cool now that we've gotten this far in the set to see sort of how Warspite Changeling actually works
Yeah.
in all the different archetypes, whether it's a goblin, whether it's a giant,
Whether it just has normal striker first.
Ooh, weather. And he also looks stupidly weird.
I mean, yeah, like, I don't
It
even
looks so weird.
like, my favorite part about him now is, like, I don't even know what he is right now.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
what
not
is he
sure
trying
what
to
he
be?
is, but he's got like some like heart thing his hair's doing.
No, that he's trying to be like the Medusa, you know?
Oh, I
Like,
bet. And like I like how the eyes are like going like that way, wherever. And this guy's just coming at you with his weird like jelly spear.
Wait,
He's got
what
his,
if-
he's got
what
his
if-
big belly there, all
what about
belly in.
actually if he's just a sleepwalking changeling and he's dreaming right now? So he's just becoming everything.
When changelings.
There's
dream,
eyeballs on his spike.
There are eyeballs on his spike.
On
Ladies
his
and
spear,
gentlemen.
yeah.
He's a good man.
Well, at least he's not weirder than we have been.
There you go. Now, as for limited, he's good. He's not unreal.
Yeah.
He's just good. You'll get him after you get your removal, after you get your bombs, in your 4th to probably 9th or 10th pick.
Yep.
He's a good man. He should make all of your decks just because he works with anything tribal ever. Anything that cares about tribal, even if it's like fairies, something weird like spell starter, sprite activations, whatever. I mean, like he just counts for everything like they do.
They play way better than they look. And I mean,
They
3 for 4 with first strike isn't even that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a hill giant with an ability all day.
And like they always get better with like whatever you have. Like they'll always just be better than they look because they're either cheaper or they trigger things or they're just awesome. So these changelings will go fast because a lot of decks want them.
It's true, and it just turns on everything.
Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of our red card set review for Modern Masters.
Who's ready to have upkeep triggers? What? Because we're going to talk about thalids in the next video.
I'm ready to talk about things that are green and growing all up in my battlefield. Very exciting. So, for Evan Irwin,
Brad Nelson.
we're tapping the cards.
So you do not have to.
Not at all.
Not once. Because we're good. And we're like that. We're nice.
That's right.